Ringo Starr just turned 85 and his fans are worried. During his annual Peace and Love moment, the Beatles drummer broke down in tears. He'd already canceled shows in Philadelphia and New York on doctor's orders, and while he said he just needed rest, something felt heavier. For the first time, he publicly mourned John and George in his birthday remarks. His voice cracked. People asked, "What's really happening to the last surviving Beatle?" Born Richard Starkey on July 7, 1940, at 9 Madron Street, Liverpool. He arrived as German bombs fell almost nightly. His father, Richard Starkey Sr., drifted away and left when Richard was 3. His mother, Elsie, worked days as a cleaner and nights as a barmaid. By 1944, they moved to a cheaper flat just to get by. Then came a crisis. At 6, his appendix burst. He developed peritonitis, fell into a coma, and spent nearly a year in hospital. When he finally came home in May 1948, he was 8 and behind in reading and maths. At 13, while catching up with tutors, tuberculosis shut his world down again. In 1953, he spent 2 years in a sanatorium, lonely, silent, cut off. A nurse handed him a cotton bob and mallet and told him to bang a cabinet. A health worker played bedtime for drums. Rhythm took root and never left. He grew up in Dingle, a rough corner of Liverpool where gangs were part of survival. Music became the exit sign. By 1956, at 16, he was an apprentice machinist. In the factory basement, he and Roy Trafford and Eddie Miles played skiffle. For Christmas 1957, his stepfather bought him a used kit. 2 months later, he joined the Eddie Clayton Skiffle Group and hit the Cavern Club on July 31, 1957. In November 1959, he joined Rory Storm and the Hurricanes and started calling himself Ringo Starr for the rings with StarTime features like Boys by the Chorales. Then came Hamburg. In 1960, the Reaper Bond was chaos. On November 29, 1960, Paul and drummer Pete Best were arrested over a prank candle, a lit condom. They were deported on December 1. Ringo kept his head down and he crossed paths with John, Paul, and George. On October 15, 1960, he recorded with them Lou Walter's Summertime. In 1961, they cut Cry for a Shadow with Tony Sheridan. Early 1962, he filled in again February 5th, and the others felt it. "This is it," George said. On August 16, 1962, Pete Best was fired. By August 18th, Ringo was a Beatle. The welcome was brutal. At the Cavern on August 19th, fans chanted, "Pete forever." "Ringo never." George was headbutted. Death threats followed. Then Abbey wrote on September 4, 1962, producer George Martin wasn't convinced. On September 11th, Andy White played drums while Ringo shook a tambourine. Humiliation or fuel? The tours of 1963 tested him with cruel pranks, but he stayed steady. Left-handed on a right-handed kit, he created a feel that shaped Love Me Do and Please, Please Me. On June 3, 1964, he and Jay collapsed with a 102-degree fever, tonsillitis. Jimmy Nichols subbed for 8 shows. June 15th in Melbourne, Ringo returned. When the band flew into JFK on February 7th, 1964, 4,000 fans screamed the roof off. By June 13th in San Francisco, 500 schoolgirls mobbed him. One 8-year-old Helena Rand fainted in his arms. 20 officers barely held the line. Help! In 1965 was no holiday. Bahamas filming was tense and ugly. In 1966, Manila turned terrifying. July 4th and 5. After a supposed snub of Alda Marcos, security vanished. The band dragged their own gear as thugs waved guns. They paid 74,450 pesos just to leave. During 1967 Sgt. Pepper, Ringo joked he learned chess between takes. By August 22, 1968, he'd had enough. He walked out after criticism on Back in the USSR, wrote Octopus's Garden on a Sardinia yacht, and returned on September 4th to a drum kit spelling, "Welcome back." Ringo. 1969 brought hospital beds in the studio for Yokuno and the Shadow of Heroin. On September 8, 1969, Ringo went to hospital with severe intestinal pain just as Abbey Road neared completion. The same month, on August 22nd, he saw John try to quit heroin cold turkey, writing, "Cold turkey 1970 was fracture and fallout." Ringo took a message to Paul about delaying his solo album. Paul exploded, "I'll finish you now." On April 10th, 1970, Paul announced the split Ringo found out from the press. On December 31st, 1970, Paul sued to dissolve the partnership. Shockingly, Ringo sided with Paul. In April 1971, early 1970 aired his Ache as the B-side to It Don't Come Easy. On August 1st, 1971, at the Concert for Bangladesh, only Ringo stood with George. March 1st, 1970. Sentimental Journey sold 500,000 in 2 weeks and hit number 7 in the UK, but was drowned out by the breakup. Then, 1973's Photograph written with George hit number 1 in the US, Canada, and Australia, and sold over 1 million. In 1969, The Magic Christian with Peter Sellers left him embarrassed by shock value scenes. In 1981, Caveman broke his arm, but also brought Barbara Bach. They married soon after. In the 1972, Ringo tried furniture with designer Robin Cruikshank. Roar Ringo or Robin landing a $10 million contract in Abu Dhabi and Oman, but the pieces languished at Liberty and Harvey Nichols. The company collapsed. He was the original Thomas the Tank Engine narrator and Mr. Conductor from 1984, but a 1990 contract fight led to George Carlin replacing him through season 4. Fans weren't happy. His marriage to Maureen Cox ended after affairs. The divorce was finalized on July 17, $1,975, with $125,000 up front, $23,000 a year, and $12,500 for each of their 3 children. The late 1972 got dark cocaine, blackout drinking, he later said, 16 bottles of wine a day, a 1978 overdose. In 1988, after a terrifying violent spiral at home, he and Barbara entered rehab in Tucson. In 1989 court testimony, he admitted he'd known he had a problem since 1982. Then the comeback. In 1989, he launched the All-Star Band, his first tour in 23 years, and kept it going for over 30. 1998's Vertical Man reunited him with George and Paul, plus Ozzy Osbourne and Tom Petty. When George mailed in guitar parts, Ringo cried, "You're killing me, George." In 2024, he canceled Philadelphia and Radio City Music Hall after getting sick. Despite having finished 10 of 12 fall dates and playing the Greek Theater where the All-Stars launched 35 years earlier, on July 7, 2025, Beverly Hills declared Ringo Starr Day. At noon, the Peace and Love Call, born with 10 fans in Chicago in 2008, now spanning 30 countries, was even beamed by NASA to the moon and back. Ringo openly mourned John and George. The birthday became a memorial, yet he's still creating. In 2025, he revealed 2 country albums finished, one with T-Bone Burnett slated for 2026 with a Carl Perkins cover. He joked, his kids have heard the retirement line for 10 years. His Lotus Foundation kept raising millions recently through Las Vegas spin art made with a modified Rolls-Royce engine. Then Pandora Papers whispers, 5 offshore trusts in Panama and the Bahamas tied to royalties and touring. No proof of wrongdoing surfaced, but the scrutiny stung. So, what's really happening? A lifetime of resilience, bombs, illness, rejection, addiction. Fame at hurricane force now collides with age and grief. The tears weren't weakness. They were the cost of carrying John and George, the band, and the beat this long. Peace and love.